Ba-da-ba-ba, ba-da-ba-ba. All right. Promoter 101. Promoter 101. Promoter 101. Promoter 101. And Promoter 101. Promoter 101. Promoter 101. Promoter 101. Promoter 101.
Here's Promoter 101's Dan Steinberg.
We're thrilled to announce that we've teamed up with the Recording Academy's MusiCares Foundation to do a little good. And you, our listeners, can help by going to promoter101.net and clicking on the merch tab at the top of the browser. And you can pick up a stylish, limited edition, brand new Promoter 101 Call Your Mother t-shirt or hoodie. I'm modeling the hoodie right here. And of course, the t-shirt can't be left out. Now, for a $20 donation, the t-shirt is yours. For $50, you can have the hoodie. We would greatly, greatly appreciate you helping some people in our music community that really do need your help. 100% of the proceeds donated will go to MusiCares. And at the same time, you'll score some brand new awesome swag. Now, it's all tax deductible, and what's better than that? And no additional cost. Shipping and handling is totally covered. It's all in. So donate by visiting our website, promoter101.net, and picking up a shirt or a hoodie, what have you. We offer many colors, styles, sizes. It's for a good cause. It's our first ever merch. We're very, very proud of it, and we're hoping that you will help us support MusiCares.
Your donation supports MusiCares and their mission to provide a safety net of critical assistance for music people in their time of need. And for the first $10,000 we raise, Prism will match donations dollar for dollar. Be the heart and soul of the music community by donating to MusiCares.
Promoter 101, it's episode 180, and I'm joined with a very special guest co-host from Degy Entertainment, Mr. Josh Sherman. Welcome to the podcast, Josh.
Thanks, dude. So good to see you here. You're in the district, man. How about that?
Up in the district.
The district. That's what we call it.
That's what the locals call it.
Absolutely. We don't want anything to do with anything else other than that. You know, we just like some representation in Congress at some point.
We're floating on the wharf, baby.
It's gorgeous what they did down here.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty dope. It's pretty dope. You got a hell of a view, too, you know?
Well, you know, we're on a budget. Who do we have this week?
Well, we're keeping the Nashville sessions rolling. We feature APA Nashville's head of music, Steve Lassiter, this week.
Plus, we have a war story with Live Nation Executive President of Touring International Music. Wow, that's a mouthful. Phil Bowdery.
Mick Management founder Michael McDonald, no relation, drops by to talk about the Recording Academy's MusiCares Foundation.
This is a very exciting announcement, and I can't wait for him to be here and break that shit. Episode 180 starts now.
Hey, it's Brian Penix with NS2 and ABI Management. I'm going to be on Promoter 101.
The word is out. The podcast is coming to an end, and it's coming up quick.
Boo.
Final interview in person, though, live from Nashville, Tennessee at the AIBA conference.
That's right. We're going to do our final interview and live podcast recording from AIBA this year at the keynote session. That's taking place October 27th through 29th at the JW Marriott, J-Dubs, in Nashville. We look forward to wrapping this up with some of our many friends in attendance. It's going to be a very special podcast, and we're already working to ensure it's going to be the best ever.
So we know exactly who that final guest is, and we're going to announce it not now. You're going to have to wait for it.
You're such a tease, Steiny. You're such a tease.
But I got to tell you, worth waiting for.
I don't know.
One of the biggest guests the podcast has ever had, one of the biggest players in the industry.
No pressure, man, but you better deliver.
I'm saying the bar is here. And we fucking cleared that shit by a mile.
I don't know, man. I've never seen us pass a bar when we're hanging out. I'm just throwing that out there.
Nor should we. If you got something you want to share with us, simply email us at steiny@promoter101.net. We're ready to respond to you day or night. Operators are standing by, urgently waiting for your message, Josh.
But if you'd rather hit us up on social media, you're more than welcome to follow us on Twitter at WLukePierce, Dan's at The Jew, and the show is Promoters 101. That's Promoters plural.
Do you have a Twitter account?
No, I don't. I just do Instagram.
What's your Instagram?
Oh, Sherman everywhere.
Sherman everywhere?
True story. Sherman's everywhere.
Luke is W. Luke Pierce. I am Dan Presents, and the show is Steiny at Promoter 101.
On Facebook at Promoter 101.
On Tumblr, as long as it still lasts, at Promoter 101.
Tumblr's a thing? Tumblr's still a thing?
No, well, I think if you're a 13-year-old girl, Tumblr's still a thing. We're going to be on Friendster.
Dude, if you do that, that'd be dope.
But we're coming out on 8-track, too.
You should come out a mini disc if you really want to go throwback. Do you remember mini disc?
A laser disc.
Laser disc was dope. You can only get the Star Wars original cut on laser disc. Did you know that?
I didn't, but I'm not surprised you do.
Absolutely. I mean, so episodes 4, 5, and 6, you can only get, if you're getting it on DVD or like Blu-ray or whatever.
They're not the right cut.
You're right. You have to get like the George Lucas, like Han didn't shoot first edition. So the only way that you can get the Han shot first edition is to like have it on Laserdisc. And then someone's got to burn that to like DVD or something else so that you can have it.
Cool.
And on the World Wide Web at promoter101.com. Plus, find us on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is really helpful. I have to say, as like a middle-aged man, everybody hit me up on LinkedIn with the new gig. Everybody. It was great.
The congratulations are so easy to give on LinkedIn, and the happy birthday wishes.
That is true. It's like they prompt you with everything. Yeah.
You just hit it. It's just like, oh.
Yeah, like boom.
There you go. So those are the places you can find us in case you want to go social mediaing.
Hey, it's Mark David,
Steve Strange, Toby Leighton Pope, Stuart Galbraith,
Simeon Galperin. I'm Ralph James,
Ted Cohen,
Julia Frank,
Jeff Goodman,
Jamie Adler, and Frank Wing,
Doug Edley,
David Klein,
Stephen Riff,
Tom Chauncey,
and we're on Promoter 101.
A little bit of exciting news. I'm joined from Mick Management and also the Recording Academy's MusiCares Foundation. Michael McDonald is here joining us today. Welcome to the podcast, Michael.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So normally we'd have you here and we'd definitely be diving into your amazing career and all of the great artists that you work with, which we should certainly do at some point. But we're here for a whole nother reason today. We're here to talk about MusiCares.
Yeah. I mean, MusiCares is an incredible organization. I think uniquely funded by the music business, for the music business, and, an organization that has helped tens of thousands of people from everything from dental checkups to rehab or dental checkups in rehab. Whatever you need, this organization is there for it. It's something that's super personal to me. They helped me get sober and stay sober 20 years ago. And so I'm doing everything in my power to just spread the word, raise money, continue to give opportunity for these resources to get to as many people as possible.
So you're paying it back and paying it for it all at the same time. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm trying to do it all.
So I was recently at a funeral in Los Angeles, and I learned that the family couldn't afford, after a long battle of cancer, to pay for the final resting of my friend. And MusiCares stepped up immediately before the corporation that employed this person or anybody else. They were just there in a second to help this long-term industry exec that I loved so much. And I was so touched and moved. I called over to, Michael Rapino, and I said, how do I get involved with MusiCares? And he immediately pointed me to you and said, Michael McDonald will figure out a way for you to help these people.
Oh, that's great.
I was so excited that you were there for my friend. And as I've learned more and more, for so many other people, this is such a great foundation.
It is. I mean, it's really far-reaching, and I always say it's beautiful in its simplicity, where people in the music business that have the means or feel compelled donate money to the organization, and then the folks there take things on a case-by-case basis, super confidentially, and whether you need, in your friend's family's case, help with funeral arrangements, whether you're a session guitar player and you break your arm and you can't play sessions for a couple months, we'll pay the rent or buy you groceries. Health insurance is the challenge for anyone, especially musicians who are usually independent contractors. So we help with a lot of medical. As I said, in my case, it was free group therapy, but we can help with rehab, any number of things. People who have lost their instruments in floods and fires. It's a remarkable organization, and it's one that deliberately helps people under the radar, but there are obviously higher visibility things. But I think it's then up to the individual as to whether or not they want to raise the fact that MusiCares helped them or not. I was at a dinner in Nashville with my cousins, none of whom are in the business. And there were 17 of us going around the table sort of talking about the year that we had. And I started talking about MusiCares. And our waiter said, did you just say MusiCares? And I said, yeah. He said, man, they totally hooked me up. I got hurt. I couldn't play. I couldn't wait tables, and so they paid my rent, and they totally hooked me up. So it was just, kind of proof in the pudding. It's helping the people that help this industry stay so vibrant.
So I called you and said, I want to do something. You said, great. What do you have in mind? And we put our heads together, and this is what we came up with. I want to ask you, our listeners, to come to the table and support MusiCares. We've never run sponsorship. We've never had advertising. Promoter 101 has been free for you for the entire 3 years. We do it all for you. And now I'm asking for you to pay us back a little bit. And not to us personally, but to MusiCares, people that can help people. So this is what we had in mind. We're going to do a t-shirt. We're very excited to announce our first ever swag coming out right now. We've teamed up with the MusiCares folks at the Recording Academy Foundation to do a little good. And you, our listeners, can help by going to promoter101.net/merch and clicking on the merch tab at the top of the browser. You can pick out a number of stylish t-shirts. We've got hoodies. We've got t-shirts. The t-shirts are a $20 donation. The hoodies are a $50 donation. 100% of the gross donation goes to MusiCares. It's all in. You don't have to pay for additional shipping or handling. We're going to take care of all of that for you. Please, please, please grab a shirt. Support people that really need it. It's our first ever t-shirt. We're so very, very proud of it. And good, exciting news. Our friends at Prism have offered to match the first $10,000 donated to MusiCares. So we're really 200% goes to the act here.
That's incredible.
You put up 20, they'll put up 20. Let's do some good. The shirt is actually pretty stylish. The hoodie's pretty cool. And you can do some good for some good people. Please go to promoter101.net right now. Click on the merch tab. Even if you don't like the shirt, please donate some money to MusiCares.
The shirts are great, by the way. I love the design.
It's the Call Your Mother.
Call your mother.
We're very excited about this. Hey, before I let you go, you have been doing some additional fundraising and working your ass off. Can you tell us about the Iron Man that I'm seeing all over Facebook? This looks awesome.
Yeah. Back, when my addictions were in full swing, I spent a lot of time on the couch as a tour manager, sort of waiting for bus call. And I stumbled across the Iron Man. It felt like such garbage at the time that I was made to feel even more like garbage watching these incredible people do this incredible thing called the Iron Man in Hawaii. And it always just stuck with me. And so when I got sober, I decided, someday I'm going to do that. And that someday is going to happen October 13th. And I have done a lot of training over the years, and I've done a couple half Ironmans, but partnered up with the Ironman Foundation and MusiCares. And my goal is to raise $250,000 for MusiCares. And I'm at about 170 right now. People have just come out incredibly supportive, but I'm going to do the Ironman. It will be a full circle, fully emotionally overwhelming moment, I'm sure, when I cross that finish line. It all means so much, and it all sort of is culminating about 45 days from now. So that's terrifying. But if anyone wants to contribute, you can go to my CrowdRise page, CrowdRise/Kona Cares, KONACARES. And same thing, whether it's buying swag or supporting my quest, it all goes to MusiCares, and it's such an incredible place and an incredible organization that I certainly feel like it's my obligation to give it all back.
Well, that's incredible. We'll definitely share that link on our socials. We'll post it on our Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and what have you. We'll get it out there so you guys can just click and give. But also, it's going live today. Be one of the first people on your block to own the brand new Promoter 101 MusiCares hoodie. Give 20, raise 40, give 50, raise 100. Buy them for your whole office. It's a beautiful thing. 100% of the money you donate goes to MusiCares. And on top of that, we'll get it doubled for the first 10 grand. So 200% of the money you give right to MusiCares. You can't beat that.
That's incredible.
Thanks so much, Michael. We appreciate you coming on and letting us help MusiCares with this great cause.
Thank you so much. Thanks for your support. Call your mother.
Buy a t-shirt, please. We are so thrilled to team up with the Grammy MusiCares Foundation to do a little good. And you listeners can help right now by heading over to promoter101.net, clicking on merch at the top of the browser, and I love me some merch, and picking up a stylish Promoter 101 t-shirt or hoodie. It's just a $20 donation for the t-shirt or a mere $50 for the hoodie. And if you haven't seen Steiny in a hoodie, then you just haven't met him. 100% of the gross donation goes to MusiCares. It's all in, no shipping and handling. We'll take care of it all. Please buy a shirt and support some people in need. It's our first ever shirt, and we are super proud of it.
And we're just excited to announce that there is a match for this. This is going to be incredible. The guys from Prism are going to match the first 10K through the door. So if you spend $50 on a hoodie, $100 goes to MusiCare.
That's fantastic.
Isn't that great?
That's great.
The good people of Prism, with their amazing software, here to help the MusiCare folks.
Everybody loves a good dollar for dollar match in the fundraising
It's
community.
genius, right? Like, that's so giving and cool of those guys at Prism. So
That's dope.
Prism FM, gotta love those guys, and check out their stuff. We'll have them here in a couple weeks to talk about their software, but I'm excited about the merch. I'm excited about the match. I'm just thrilled to help MusiCares. I think it's so cool. Plus the shirt, pretty stylish.
I have no doubt it is.
Hi, this is John Scher from Metropolitan Entertainment Consultants, Promoter 101.
All right. Let's celebrate some birthdays for the week of August 27th to September 2nd, 2019.
Tuesday, 8/27, Debbie Spears of the Polestar team, Trip Brown of the beautiful New Frontier Touring cast in Nashville, Tennessee, Eli Anderson from Seattle, Washington, and popping down on the 5 to Portland, December Carson.
Wednesday, 8/28, Harris Renee.
Thursday, 8/29, Dave Brooks, Natalia Nataski, and Ricky Aston of the beautiful Live Nation Denver office.
Friday, August 30th, Jake Snufferoski, Donna DeBenedetto, Alex Fang, Julian Werple, Tom Loudermilk, Kai Griffin.
Saturday, 8/31, John Pleater from ICM Partners, Randy Stein of Straight No Chaser, The Raves, Leslie West, Evelyn Zilberman? Evelyn Zilberman. She's in Denver. She's in Denver. Evelyn Zilberman. Easy. I just got zilbed. Okay, let's leave that in.
I love you, Ev. Sunday, September 1st, Andy Rowe and Robbie Frazier. Happy birthday.
9/2, the Tractor in Seattle's owner, Dan Cowan.
It's your birthday. Happy birthday. Wonderful wishes to all of you on your birthday from all of us here at P101.
Feel like peanut butter jelly time.
Peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly.
Hey, it's Jim Green with Green Machine Concerts, and you're live on Promoter 101.
Promoter 101 Flashbacks.
Episode 69.
Aunt Taylor.
First, we had to prove the problem. I actually truly didn't know how bad it was. You get a marketplace where you thought every listing was sort of fairly priced by somebody on the other side. And we showed price clusterings on StubHub where they'd hold the market price really, really high. And then they drop one ticket every sort of hour or every 10 minutes. So it would appear like that ticket was a deal based on the listings. But the worst of it was that we saw guys invading the on sales, carting inventory, turning around on StubHub, listing futures, tickets they didn't actually own, waiting for people to get kicked out of the on sale, jumping over to the secondary market, buying the ticket from essentially a bot. And then the bot would come back and clear the primary transaction.
So the bot was a cyber sitting?
Yes.
That's amazing.
And that was enraging.
Well, that explains a lot. For those of us that can watch on sales in real time, particularly with Ticketmaster software, we can watch the venue click off, but we can also see how many people are holding tickets at that moment and looking at them and processing. And part of that is it takes 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how tech savvy you are and how often you buy tickets, to go through the system and buy it. I mean, it's not just like Amazon where you just click done. It takes a minute or two. So if you go on sale at 10 a.m., it's usually 10:05, 10:07 before I start literally seeing sold numbers click in. I can also see how many people are holding tickets at each moment. At 10:01, I can see that there are 1,200 people looking at tickets that have tickets in their cards. But we only sell a third of those usually, give or take, in that first 10 minutes.
By the way, those stats are mana.
Mana?
Those are stats we don't get to see. But you can shorten the window and probably adjust some of that, the sort of checkout window.
Well, there's a problem with that, too, that Ticketmaster is the easiest of all the ticketing systems to use. Particularly, they keep it simple for people like our parents who aren't technology savvy. They try to make it as easy as possible to get you through. But some systems are harder than others, and we lose sales that way, too. But that's certainly part of the problem.
It is, certainly.
As a promoter, is it a problem once I've sold the ticket and somebody else has bought it and they've diminished my risk on 2 more seats? Is that really a problem, for argument's sake?
Yeah, no, that's a fair point.
I mean, if the artist cares, it changes the problem. But as an investor, I've moved my units. Isn't that all I should care about?
No, what I saw then is you had to make that choice. right? I've never bought a show and had to sell it a bunch of times. And the way I describe your guys' business, it's like you've got a product you've got to sell, but you've got to build the entire grocery store. Then you've got to market and get people into that thing to sell the product. Maybe you sell it out, and no matter what, you got to knock down the whole grocery store and do the whole fucking thing again. It's hard. It's a hard business. At that time, what I saw was promoters had to make a decision. I either move risk off of my balance sheet as fast as possible, or I try to do the right thing by fans and I could lose my shirt. And my thing was like, why can't technology bridge that gap? Why can't you have the assurance that you can ultimately sell out without needing to move it through middlemen and offload a bunch of risk in that way? All that to say, you're absolutely right. That's a sensitivity, but I do think that hurts you long term. Fans are overpaying through those channels, which means less money paid on beer and food and merch. If you're a promoter in a market trying to manage sort of lifetime value of your customers over a period of 10 years or 20 years, it is not a winning strategy to have a middleman come along and skin people on each individual show.
This is Julia Frank from Wizard Promotions in Germany, and we're on Promoter 101.
All right, up next, a war story with Live Nation's Executive President of Touring International Music, Phil Bowdery.
We always get these fun war stories, but Phil Bowdery, you've got another side. You also manage an artist.
Yes, correct.
How did that come to be? You met Michael Ball, right?
Yeah, Michael Ball, musical talent, won 2 Olivier's, very well known for in the original
Now, did
cast.
we just out you, or are you allowed to moonlight? Are you allowed, is that part of your deal?
Yeah, no, it's part of my intellectual properties, my intellectual rights with the company.
It's all out in the open.
All above board.
I didn't just out you.
No. And it's more of an advisory position. Michael's right enough. He knows exactly what he wants to do, and it's about putting our brains together. But just after he came out of the original Les Miserables, he wanted to go and explore doing some live stuff, and then fortunately got the role of Andrew Lloyd Webber in Aspects of Love, where he was the lead, young lead here, and had the big hit record with Love Changes Everything.
So he's a talented kid.
Oh, yeah, very talented. So we've been together since then, which, scarily, that's probably 1980.
Wow.
We got together.
So it's a 39-year relationship.
Yeah, well, maybe 85 then, just thinking about it. But yes, a long time we've known each other.
Longer than most marriages, twice.
Yes. Longer than mine was. But we've been together since then. He's going from strength to strength. We were very fortunate. A couple of years ago, put a project together with Michael and Alfie Boe called The Project Together.
Alfie is also huge over here in that world of Broadway and opera.
Absolutely. Worked together. We did 18-date theater tour that turned into 28 shows. And then the last time out, we played 10 arena shows with them. Did huge business. The albums 2 albums, I think, have done about 1.4 million.
Acts don't sell albums anymore. How did that happen?
Well, that's physical. And I think there was probably about 10 downloads out of that.
So just a different audience.
Yes. This audience wants to hold, wants to look at the pictures, fill the jewel case, know that they've got it. It's a different thing.
It's good that you can find the people that still make that stuff.
Absolutely. Yes. It was difficult, but I found them.
Maybe next time you do a special 8-track edition.
Could you imagine? There was a cassette edition of the last album.
Really?
Yep, absolutely.
I get the vinyl, but
how about that rewind time? What's that all about? But yes, we sold cassettes.
You give people a pen with it so they can rewind.
Make sure they get it tight. Yeah.
So your hobby that gets you away from the music business is managing a musical artist.
Yes, it's more than a hobby, but he's such a talented guy that he knows exactly what he wants to do. He has a national radio show here every Sunday on Radio 2, 11 till 1.
So over here in the UK, it's not uncommon for someone to manage and promote an act. It's also not uncommon for an agent to promote his own acts as well.
Absolutely.
These things would be considered no-nos in the States.
In America, yeah.
But over here, it's tradition and normal and part of the game.
Because you are, in theory, you're looking after the best interests.
And this is common across the marketplace. So you promote an act you manage, and that's all above board.
Yeah.
But that's commonplace here.
Yes, it is. Simon and I put Michael and Alfie out because Simon is Alfie's promoter. I'm Michael's promoter. So it's when Michael Ball and Alfie Boe go out together, Simon and I are doing it together.
Right. And in the same scenario, Simon also manages Stone Roses and Rick Astley, and he promotes their dates as well.
Absolutely.
So it's very commonplace over here.
It is.
It's the future of the business.
Yeah. And as you say, it's just something that doesn't happen in America.
I need to learn how to manage.
I'm sure you could do it very well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We are excited to share a full interview with Phil coming up on episode 181 of the Promoter 101 podcast. That's this Thursday, Josh.
Nice.
This is Emma Banks. I work at Creative Artists Agency, and this is Promoter 101.
It's time for the unveiling of the Promoter 101 Badass of the Week.
I like that you did that like monster truck
You
style.
have to, right? I mean, you buy the whole seat, but you only need the edge.
Only need the edge. Sunday.
That's good stuff.
This week goes out to High Road Touring's Jackson Herring. He's the backbone of the High Road Agency, keeping everything current on the deposits and the contract and everything so the acts can be on the road and keeping those road managers up to date on what's going on with everything. All those acts, venues, promoters, managers, agency. He keeps that business going and on track, making him this week's Promoter 101 Badass of the Week.
I got to tell you, if you don't have that back-end support, it's so easy for these things to go astray. And these folks, they don't get enough credit. So absolutely, congrats, Jackson. It's hard to argue with any of that. You're the badass of the week.
Salute to all of the back office help in the industry. Without them, where would the industry be?
We would just be a bunch of talking heads spitting into a microphone.
Promoter 101 Podcast.
With Steiny and the Pierce.
In our feature interview this week, we're keeping the Nashville sessions rolling as we feature APA Nashville's head of music, Steve Lassiter, this week.
The Nashville sessions continue, and I'm hanging out with Steve Lassiter from the wonderful world of APA. How you doing, man?
Great. I've been looking forward to this all week.
So congratulations are due you. Recently moved your relationship up to a new place?
Yes, I did. Recently married. It's been about 7 weeks now.
And on top of that, APA gave you a new title.
They did. I'm now co-head of the worldwide music with our friends Steve Martin and Bruce Solar.
You run the Nashville office as you have for a very long time.
Yes. Actually, next month, I will have been at APA for 21 years. And it's kind of funny. I'm 61. I'll be 62 in November. And I've never really thought about retiring. What will I do when I'm done with this? Because I've always thought, well, I'm never going to be done with this. Why would I be? I'm not going to retire. I'm not going to quit. They'll have to roll me out, man. You know?
Well, if you do something you love every day, right?
Yeah, that's what it is. You know, my dad told me years ago, he come from a long line of railroad workers. On my mom's side, her dad was a farmer and a blacksmith. So, you know, I was raised very blue collar and expected to follow the family business in the railroad business. I had an uncle in there, I had a grandpa in there, I had my dad in there. Went to college, first one in my family to go to college. And I started discovering this music business thing. And when I told my dad that's what I wanted to do, he totally didn't get what it was. And, you know, at the time I was 18 years old, 17 years old. I didn't know what an agent was. You know, you just never thought about that. Go to a concert and everything's there and the lights are there, sound's there, the act's there. But you never thought about it.
Just like a basketball net and the court are already up in the hardwood when you go to a game.
Yeah,
you just don't think about it.
Right. You don't.
It's just there. That probably lives there.
Yeah. So when I, told the family this is what I wanted to do, it didn't go over too well at first. But after, my dad just said, look, man, here's the deal. Find something you love to do and you'll never work a day in your life. Do what you love. And that's what I did.
So now you're 21 years into APA. Was APA your first stop as an agent?
Oh, no. First stop was in 1981. I had just finished a music business degree at MTSU.
So you went to school for this?
Yeah, I did. It was an associate degree, which takes normal people 2 years. It took me 3 at Volunteer State Community College out in Gallatin. Communications, I transferred to MTSU to finish my bachelor's in recording industry management. While the last year at Volunteer State and the 3 years I was at MTSU, I also was a production assistant at Sound 70 Productions, which was the local concert promoter here in town. It was owned by Joe Sullivan and Charlie Daniels. Joe at the time was Charlie's manager, and they had this concert company, Sound 70. So I worked for them for 4 years while I was in college. When I came out of college, I hit the streets trying to find an agency gig. Found one little company called International Celebrity Services. It was run by 2 ladies, Andrea Smith, Dean Raymer. Andrea's history was she worked with Tandy Rice at Top Billing. She left there, took a few clients, had her little agency, and that was my first foray into the agency business. The first date I ever booked was a date on Ricky Skaggs. I'll never forget it. He was just transitioning from bluegrass to country. And I had been there about a month and booked my first show with him, and he was just having his first number one record.
This is when he was starting to find that first commercial success?
Yes. So it being my first show ever booked, the lady said, well, you need to go cover that show. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. It was up in Ohio, a venue called Legend Valley. It was right outside of Columbus. So I get there, I pull in backstage, and it's wooden fence, so you couldn't really see the venue. So I turn the corner of the fence, and I look out. There's this huge stage, and there's about 80,000 people there.
Wow.
And I had booked Ricky on a show. It was Ricky, Leon Russell, Marshall Tucker Band, and Waylon and Willie.
Amazing lineup. And for that to be my first gig I ever booked, it was kind of like, oh, hell yeah, I can do this. Yeah, how do you do the second? How do you beat that?
Yeah, is it going to get better? Is it going to get better? At that moment, I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do.
So how long were you there?
About 2 years. Then there's an organization here in town that's been here for about 60 years called the Nashville Association of Talent Directors. Back then, they would have a monthly breakfast meeting, and all the agents would go have breakfast, and then they would meet and talk. It's very informal. But I met a guy named Rod Essick, who was one of the partners. This was in 1983, okay? He was one of the partners with a company called Variety Artists. At the time, they were based in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And I got to know him. A couple of times he approached me, and he just said, hey, man, we're looking to open a Nashville office. We would like to talk to you about doing that if you're interested. But the thing is, you would need to move to Minneapolis for 6 months to a year, get to know the system, get to know everybody, and then we would come back and open an office. And I was like, thought about it. Well, yeah, man, that sounds cool. Because ICS was going down. They had lost several acts. Didn't really know how much longer they're going to be around. So I thought, I'll jump into this. Plus, I'd never lived anywhere else besides Nashville. And, told him, yeah, packed a U-Haul, put my car on the tow dolly and headed to Minneapolis.
Traded some meat and three for some Juicy Lucy's for a couple months.
Yes. I had never been there and drove into town having never been there, found an apartment within a couple of hours. Rod helped me move in, and it was Memorial Day weekend of 1983, and it was one of the best summers I ever had in my life. Rod took me to my first NFL game. Vikings. And it was John Elway's debut performance.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the Purple People Eaters crushed him. Just crushed him. But, had a lot of great experiences up there. And then that fall, we had the CMA Awards coming up. There was a conference at the time, which is now AIBA. But back then it was called SRO. It always coincided a couple of days before the CMA Awards. So among all of this, I was very young. I was married at the time. I was going through a divorce. And the week I was supposed to come to Nashville, my father died. And that same week, my divorce was final. So I had my father died, my divorce was final all in the same week. But I'm in Nashville, come down for the funeral. The day after the funeral, SRO starts. 2 days later is CMA Awards. So I'm here. And Rod, before I left, Rod was like, okay, look for some Nashville office space and, do what you can, sign some acts while you're there. So on my way back, my best friend could not come to the funeral. He was getting his master's degree at Georgetown. But he said, hey, man, when you come back, I'll come up and hang out with you for a few days. I'm like, okay, fine. So we coordinated our flights where we would land at about the same times. Rod was picking me up at the airport, and my buddy was there. So we come to my apartment. We throw my bags in. I give my buddy a key to the apartment. And I said, man, if you walk down that way a couple of blocks, there's all kinds of bars and restaurants. And I'll just see you about 6 o'clock tonight. Okay. So I get back in the car, and Rod's like, well, man, how you doing? I'm like, Rod was always a gentleman to me. Still is. And we're still really, really good friends. But he said, so, hey, man, how you doing? I'm like, Rod, I'm good. My dad had been very sick. So, that's over with. He's in peace now, and he's not suffering. I said, while I was there, man, I found some office space we need to talk about. I signed a couple of acts, and yeah, it's all good. It's all looking up. My divorce was final. Was there? He goes, yeah, it's all good. He goes, well, while you were gone, the partners of the company met, and we decided we're not going to open a Nashville office. So we don't need you anymore either. So he hands me a check. And I'm sitting there going, wait a minute, are you serious? He goes, yeah, man, I'm really sorry, but that's, it's coming down from the owners and just not going to pursue Nashville, which I knew he was being truthful because they never did after that. So I kind of, regroup, get out of the car. He drives off. I go into my apartment. Well, my buddy's got the key. So I start looking for him in all these
before
restaurants.
cell phones.
This was 83, October of 83. So I start going into every bar and restaurant on Hennepin Avenue, if you know where Hennepin is.
Yeah, it's where all the big venues are and the arena is.
Yeah. It was about 1 PM. I found him. He was already bellied up to the bar with some blonde, and he saw me coming, and he must have seen some disgruntlement on my face because he didn't even hesitate. He just turned to the bartender and said, make it a double. So I sat down, and he said, man, I could tell, look on your face, something was up. So for the next 3 days, I don't even know what happened after that, But regrouped, flew to Nashville, made some appointments, got a job with Top Billing immediately, moved back to town. A few months later, got a call from Ronnie Millsap's office. A good friend of mine, Charles Doris, was working for Ronnie. Ronnie had a little agency.
Charles Doris, who ran Christian music for William Morris.
He did. This was obviously prior to this.
Right.
This was in 83. He's running Ronnie's agency, and they've got Millsap, and they've got, I don't know, a couple others. So I go over there. Only worked at Top Billing 3 or 4 months, but went to work with Ronnie and with Charles. I'd known him forever. He and I went to MTSU together, and one of my duties at Sound 70 was I was in charge of the T-shirt security, and Charles was one of my T-shirt security guys.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So was David Lee Murphy.
Wow, this goes back.
So was Kix Brooks. This goes way back, man. This is a long time ago. Anyway, so went there. We immediately started signing acts. Ended up, we had Jerry Reed. We brought in George Mallard after about a year, and we had Reba, we had Steve Warner, we had Ronnie, we had Jerry Reed. I mean, we were building a hot little roster, and then William Morris calls, and I go to work there, and it was I think it was towards the end of 84 that I went there. Was there through 97, left there at the end of 97, went to APA July 98, and I'm still here.
Okay, so William Morris would probably be the first time you were at a full-service agency.
Yes.
Obviously a different moment for what that meant, because obviously branding and sponsorship wasn't part of that yet. But film and TV, obviously huge.
That was pretty much it.
It's the first time you get a taste of what a big agency looks like and getting those resources of, okay, different offices, different parts of the world, maybe, definitely different parts of the country. Offices in New York, LA,
right.
Clearly here in Nashville.
Yeah.
What else is going on around the world?
Right. Well, it was, I'd gone from the small independent mom and pop shop, as you will, to not just a full service agency, to the William Morris agency. They were the most well known and the largest at the time.
Right. And CAA didn't even exist yet, right?
No, did not. And they were the only full service agency in Nashville. That's where I met Paul Moore. That's where I met Ray Schlide. A gentleman named Jeffrey Beals was running the office. A gentleman named John Dotson was also working there. John, Ray, and Paul are still really good friends of mine. So started in on that, started booking the Southeast Territory. They had territories, had never had a territory system in any other agency I'd been at. And, started to sign some acts. And I actually, having worked for Charlie Daniels for 4 years and Joe, and I believe it was 86, maybe, I signed Charlie Daniels to the William Morris agency.
That was your first signing?
Big one. Yeah, I'd signed up some smaller ones.
Already a made man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Which was so cool for me to have worked with him and this legend. And because I remember at 14, 15 years old, me and my buddies over at the house and, playing, Charlie Daniels records, on the turntable as loud as we could.
That went down to Georgia.
Yeah. And then, 6, 7 years later, I'm his agent.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. It's very, very cool. Still got him. Yeah. We've been working together for the better part of 40 years.
That's amazing.
He's like a dad to me. He kind of raised me. He takes credit for, as he says, raising me in the business. Probably the greatest man I've ever met.
Well, that's a high praise if I ever heard so.
Probably the greatest man I've ever met.
Okay, so APA comes calling. Why switch agencies?
It had come to the end of the road with William Morris. We had in 88, this was the first start of the acquisition era, I guess.
Okay. The roll-ups?
Yeah. William Morris bought the Jim Halsey Company.
Okay.
And that brought in some more agents, brought in acts like Roy Clark and the Oak Ridge Boys and Tammy Wynette, and just really boosted the Nashville
stable.
Yeah, the stable. It didn't really affect rock divisions or anything, but it really boosted Nashville.
Solid foothold here in the 615.
But even back then, William Morris Nashville wasn't just country. I mean, we were booking comedy out of Nashville. We were booking rock. We were booking the Beach Boys back then. And then I became the responsible agent for Three Dog Night while I was there. Early on, that was one of my first assignments, and I took them on. From Three Dog Night, I put together a tour with America.
It's a great show.
Yeah, and I put it together with Bobby Brooks, God rest his soul, right? And got to know Bobby really well, worked together really well. And so I'd go cover shows and stuff, and I got to know the America guys a little bit, Dewey and Jerry, just hanging out and stuff, but, never hit on them, just said, hey, how you doing? So you never know, you never know who you meet is sometime going to come back to you, right? So it wasn't that long later that, Bobby, was killed in the helicopter crash with Stevie Ray Vaughan. And several months later, maybe 3 or 4, I get a call from Jim Morey, who was America's manager at the time. And he said, hey, man, he goes, the guys have been talking, and it was very tragic that we lost Bobby, but we need an agent, and the guys want to know if you want to take them on. So I was just hanging out with them, getting to know them a little bit, and sharing the tour with Three Dog Night. And like I said, you just never know what's going to happen with people you meet.
Right, because there's no way you could have foreseen that. But.
Right. So I handled them for a while. So I had America, Three Dog Night, Charlie Daniels, moving up through the end of the 80s. Gosh, I guess it was through the 90s. We started booking Travis Tritt. I was his RA.
And you still are now.
Still are now.
That's some serious loyalty that you've built for some of these artists.
Well, with Travis, there was a number of years that we didn't work together, after I left William Morris. Through William Morris, it was in 92, I think it was. Triad had just come to town maybe a year or two earlier when they were trying to put together their Nashville office.
This is before them and William Morris obviously partnered.
Yeah. Rick Shipp was at Triad in L.A. at the time, and they were putting together a Nashville office, and they called me. I was still at William Morris. I turned them down. Well, a couple years later, we're called into the office, and they announced, well, we have merged with Triad Artists. There was a lot of agents in Nashville, William Morris, that lost their jobs, except for me and Paul Moore. Barry Jeffrey was there, but he was assistant. Ray Shalide was still there, but he exited fairly quickly after that merger. So here we were going from fierce competitors to the very next day we're working together. And after the smoke cleared, everybody at William Morris was pretty much gone except for me and Paul. But, I had known Rick Shipp for quite a while. He had lived over in East Nashville, which I'm from, and we lived down the street from each other for a little bit. Knew him when he was at Buddy Lee. I had known Greg Oswald for years. He and his brother Mark were promoters in San Diego.
Oh, really?
I used to sell them Ronnie Millsap dates back in '83. So before he went to the agency business, he became the talent buyer at Billy Bob's in Fort Worth. So Greg actually lived in Fort Worth, Texas, booking Billy Bob's. And I'll do a little side note here. So I booked Three Dog Night with Greg at Billy Bob's. And, Greg was a friend of mine. I'd known him. And we go in, I go cover the show, and I go settle the box office. And it was your typical Billy Bob structure. Here's your guarantee. And when you hit X amount, you get a bonus, and you get a bonus, and you get a...
Right. They're not showing you expenses. It's they're just this level, and this level.
So I go to settle, and I'll never forget this. And this is the kind of guy Greg is. He's still this way. Great guy. So I'm about 60-something tickets away from the first bonus, and he gives it to me.
Menchie.
He goes, you got close, but we're going to give it to you anyway. And I never forgot that. And I tell that story quite a bit. I mean, that was just...
Didn't have to.
He didn't have to, but he made the call and thought it was the right thing to do, and that was great. And he and I, a couple of years later, were working together at William Morris. Well, it was more than a couple. It was probably 5 or 6 years later. But so here we are. I'm now working with Greg, Rick Shipp, Keith Miller. So basically what happened is William Morris purchased Triad, but they took over the music side. Because now my boss, instead of Dick Allen, it was Richard Rosenberg.
Okay.
We had a great run. Triad at the time, man, they were smoking. They had Alan Jackson. They had Vince Gill. They had Brooks and Dunn. Leroy Parnell. All these acts that were popping big.
Yeah, they were the big arena acts.
Yes. And it melded really well. We were doing bigger business. We were doing arena business. We had more arena acts than we'd ever had before. And it just great. And working with Rick, he and I never had a crossword. It was great. I got along with Rick Shipp great. There's stories about him that you hear about, but I never had a crossword with him. So we move on through the 90s, and I'm starting to kind of get burnt out. It was in 96, I believe. Yeah. And my mother died. I had remarried in 84, and my brother-in-law, my wife at the time, her brother had passed away very quickly, and then her father passed away. So we had 3 deaths right in a row, and I was just getting burnt out. So June of 97, I still had a couple of years on my contract, and Richard's in town, and we're talking, and he goes, you okay? You just seem like you're unhappy, and you're just kind of down and depressed, and your work's still great. I mean, your racks are popping. You're doing great work, but, you just don't seem happy. Wow, I never really thought of that, but maybe I'm not. Maybe I need to do something else. I don't know. So the end of the year, it was December, and we're sitting at the end of the year, and Richard's in town, and we're talking. It's me and Richard and Rick Shipp, and he said, man, we had that conversation in June, and you just don't seem like you're happy here. If you want to go do something else.
They weren't throwing you out the door. They were just giving you the ability to because they saw you were unhappy.
I think it maybe was a nice way of trying to throw me out the door, because at the time I wasn't making a ton of money, but I was one of the highest paid agents because I had a bunch of acts that were doing big business. And they never admitted this, and I never really investigated it, but I think it was one of those typical corporate downsizing. Hey, you look at your top paying guys who've been there for a while, and can you get rid of them to save money and then hand the business off to the younger guys that are making 20% of what this guy's making?
Net gain for the
company.
company.
If that was their agenda or not.
But it's textbook.
So he says, we're prepared to let you out of your contract. If you just need to go, we're prepared to let you out. We're prepared to mitigate your contract. And I thought for a minute, and he said, do you want out? And I thought to myself, well, I got 2 choices here. If I say no, my gut's telling me they're going to say, well, you're out anyway. If I say yes, I want out. That went in my head for about 30 seconds. And I looked at him. I said, you know what, Richard? Yeah, I think I do want out. You're right. I'm not happy. I'm depressed. I'm burnt out. I need a break. And he says, okay, well, we're prepared. I had 2 years left on my deal. We're prepared to give you 25% of your contract right now. I'll write a check right now. I'm like, no, I need 50. He goes, well, from this point, we'll go to mitigation and you'll still get paid, but we're not going to pay you 50%. I'm like, well, I'll just go hire a lawyer. Okay. What's at Christmas, right? Nobody's going to hire anybody Christmas. And so take off, have the holidays, all that. January comes around. I had to turn in my company car. I had a company car. Turned that in. I bought a pickup truck. Had ended up going through another divorce around the same time. Just wasn't having much luck with the ladies. And I left William Morris once again. When I left Variety, my divorce was final the same week. Well, I left William Morris, and the divorce on this one was final a couple of weeks later. So I get about a month into not working, right? I'm kind of flipping out. I don't know what to do. I've never not worked. But then after about a month, it was like, I'm de-stressing. I'm relaxing. I did not realize just how miserable I was. Burnout, depressed, in a funk, and I was coming out of it. So I did what a lot of guys I knew at the time and still do. When they go through a divorce, they buy a Harley. So February of 98, I bought a Harley and started riding around the Southeast and I actually started dating a lady here in town, but she was in acupuncture school in Hollywood, Florida. So I would ride down to see her and all that. And she was staying on at the Hollywood Beach, which I don't know if you've ever been there, but there's this long boardwalk. On one side of the boardwalk's the beach. On the other side is all these little mom and pop motels, you know, that's got 6 or 8 units. There's all these cool little restaurants and shops and stuff. So when I would ride down there, her classes were from 7 to 7 every day. So we'd get up about 5:30. I'd walk her down the boardwalk to her school. Well, I'd turn around. So the toughest decision of my day was, where am I going to place my towel on the beach? And where am I going to eat? That was it.
Great way to relax and unwind from a stressful thing.
Yeah, this is so cool. So I get a call from my attorney, and I'm actually on the beach. My cell phone rings. It's my attorney. He goes, how you doing? I said, oh, man, life's great. I'm loving this. He goes, okay. He goes, well, they came up to 30%. I didn't say anything. He goes, you there? I'm like, yeah, I'm here. Well, you didn't respond. I'm like, I'm not responding until they go to 50. So don't call me until they go to 50. Really? I'm like, yeah. You tell them. I'm laying down on the beach. I'm with a beautiful woman down here. I've got a brand new Harley that I'm riding around all Florida. They can pay me for 2 years. I don't care.
Because you're getting paid fully each week.
I'm getting paid anyway. They can pay me out. I don't miss it. Into March, he calls back. Got him up to 40. No response. Well, you got to respond somehow. It's 50. Tell them, I'm loving this. They can pay me for 2 years. I don't care.
I don't need it tomorrow.
I don't know if I want to even go back in the business. I don't know. But I got plenty of time to think about it. So finally, around the end of April, he calls and says, okay, they're up to 50, but they've got a contingency. You can't go back to work till mid-July. This was April. I'm like, okay, I can do that. I said, but go back and get another $25,000 for yourself, and we'll call it end of the day. Well, in the meantime, I was at William Morris. One of my clients was Billy Ray. Al Schultz, I don't know if you know Al, but he had become a pretty good friend, and he was Billy Ray's manager. And when I left, he was like, man, you know what? We're leaving William Morris. Wherever you land, we're with you. So I kind of felt like, and I've said this in interviews before, I was the Jerry Maguire of Music Row. I left the big towering corporation with one act, and it was Billy Ray Cyrus. And I had also been talking to Jim Gosnell, who I had become friends with Jim through conferences and stuff like that and covering shows. And he had called me. They had opened a Nashville office in 1994. And he'd actually called me first to open that office, but I was under contract with William Morris. I was shackled to my desk, as he puts it, so I couldn't go at the time. So when I left William Morris, he calls me, March of that year and said, man, when you can, let's work out a deal. We want you here. I'm like, okay. So we worked out a deal July 15. Well, what we did, we went ahead and placed Billy Ray at APA starting that June 1st. So he went to APA first. And then July 15, I walked in. When I left William Morris, Frank Wing, who was an assistant at the time, he also had left William Morris. And I told him the same thing Al told me. I said, Frank, I don't know where I'm going, but wherever I end up, if you're available, you got a job. It goes, great. So I cut the deal with Gosnell. We established the date in July. We placed Billy Ray there. And I called Frank, and I said, if you're available, July 15, he said, I'm with you. So we walk into APA together, and we're still there today.
That's an amazing thing. Now, he's no longer an assistant. He's a full agent.
He's a full agent. Didn't take him long. What was interesting, though, was, I'd gone from a big office. We had a staff at that time of probably 40 people at William Morris, agents and assistants and staff and everything. The phone at William Morris, ringing off the hook every day. It's all you can do to catch all the incoming calls, right? So we walk into APA, including me and Frank, there's a staff of about 6 people. Including Billy Ray, there's a roster of about 8.
Just the national roster, right? Because
Yeah.
they had a pretty big rock and contemporary roster.
Right. And which Nashville was booking some of that.
Right.
So we walk in, it's first day, it's like, we're kind of looking at each other and going, man, it's really quiet over here. the phone doesn't ring. So I had to go back to, my variety days and my Ronnie Millsap days and booking 101. The only way you're going to get the phone to ring is to call out. So Frank and I, he was my assistant, but he was calling out too. We were making 50 to 60 outgoing calls a day, each of us. And that started the phone to ring. And then we started signing a few acts. And a couple of years in, I think it was 2000, maybe 2001, an agent slot opened up and we made Frank an agent. And he became one of our top producers, not just in Nashville, but in the entire company.
Yeah, he's a machine.
He is a machine.
I love him.
He's my brother. He's, been at my side this entire time. I can't imagine him not being there.
Before I let you go, do you have any advice for some of the young guys coming up for longevity in their career?
Yes, I do. Listen, meet as many people as you can. Take as many meetings as you can, because whether that meeting ends up being anything at all, you're going to pick up something. Listen and be patient. And then there will come a point in your career where you can start adding to the conversation, speaking your opinion on things. But don't walk in as a young agent thinking you're the smartest guy in the room, because you're not. Trust me, you're not. I'm not the smartest guy in the room. Been doing it for 40 years. That would be the advice I would take. And a young agent, here again, on a personal level, don't worry about having a relationship. Don't worry about getting married. Don't worry about, if I could have a do-over, I'd wait till I was about 40 and probably have kids mid-40s if I could do it over. I don't have any regrets, but this business can eat you alive, and it can take its toll on the relationships if you allow it.
Awesome, man. I can't thank you enough for taking time and talking to us, Promoter 101.
It's always great to see you, brother.
Promoter 101 is thrilled to have brought you Steve Lassiter. He's a legend. I just can't get much better than that. Steve Lassiter right here on Promoter 101.
This is Keith Levy from Paradigm, and you're on Promoter 101.
The quote of the week comes to us from Muhammad Ali. Don't count the days. Make the days count. Deep, motherfucker.
That's deep, butterfly.
Sting like a butterfly, float like a bee.
I think it's the other way around.
I like it my way.
All right, it's your podcast.
This is Christine Marshall from CAA, and you're listening to Promoter 101.
This concludes our broadcast day, but you can write us and email us at steiny@promoter101.net if you miss us and you want to catch up.
We'll return this Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, midnight Greenwich Mean Time. That's like London.
Join us then when we feature Live Nation's Executive President of Touring International Music, Phil Bowdery, and we will be announcing the final interview guest as well.
Until then, though, we are wishing you sold-out shows for the week to come. Cheers.
Call your mother.
Here's Promoter 101's Dan Steinberg.
We're thrilled to announce that we've teamed up with the Recording Academy's MusiCares Foundation to do a little good. And you, our listeners, can help by going to promoter101.net and clicking on the merch tab at the top of the browser. And you can pick up a stylish, limited edition, brand new Promoter 101 Call Your Mother t-shirt or hoodie. I'm modeling the hoodie right here. And of course, the t-shirt can't be left out. Now, for a $20 donation, the t-shirt is yours. For $50, you can have the hoodie. We would greatly, greatly appreciate you helping some people in our music community that really do need your help. 100% of the proceeds donated will go to MusiCares. And at the same time, you'll score some brand new awesome swag. Now, it's all tax deductible, and what's better than that? And no additional cost. Shipping and handling is totally covered. It's all in. So donate by visiting our website, promoter101.net, and picking up a shirt or a hoodie, what have you. We offer many colors, styles, sizes. It's for a good cause. It's our first ever merch. We're very, very proud of it, and we're hoping that you will help us support MusiCares.
Your donation supports MusiCares and their mission to provide a safety net of critical assistance for music people in their time of need. And for the first $10,000 we raise, Prism will match donations dollar for dollar. Be the heart and soul of the music community by donating to MusiCares.